CountryWide Connect, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. Your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamb.
Well, g'day. Welcome to CountryWide Connect. My name's Andy Thompson. Great to have you with us here this morning, and my co-host, Sarah Perriam-Lamb. Sarah, g'day. Welcome to CountryWide Connect today. Hope you're having a great day. Where are you hiding today, Sarah?
Thank you, Andy. Hey, I am actually at home today, which I'm quite sad about because of the fact that today's our first day on Sky. So if you have tuned in and you're watching on Face TV, channel 83 on Sky, welcome to a new show, CountryWide Connect. Yes, so I am at home and I'm based in Methven, but often in the studio with you, Andy, in Christchurch. I had to pop down to Mount Summer Station this morning and get some photos for one of our magazines. So it was a beautiful blue sky day, snow on the mountains, fresh frost. It was gorgeous.
It certainly was. Now, as you've just said, this is our first time on Channel 83 Face TV. Why don't you just explain to some of the Face TV viewers what CountryWide Connect is all about?
Yes, so 3 months ago, we started this new, innovative new daily show, 2 hours a day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Andy Thompson and myself have worked in separate rural radio for many years. So to come together and bring the show and then bring it to life as in a video format, we've been streaming for the last 3 months via both our website, social media, YouTube, as well as we launched our own app, which is pretty unique for rural media. So we have effectively a live streaming radio station via the CountryWide Connect app that you can get on both Apple as well as your Android phones, and you can get it in your car via CarPlay and Android Auto. So quite a unique thing that I've been looking forward to bringing together, and to have the two of us that we can operate either remotely, like Andy, you're based on the West Coast and here today in our Christchurch studio, and we will be remote from lots of different places. We've already covered lots of live broadcasts from events like field days. We've been doing broadcasts on farm, so we do get out and about as well. So over the 2 hours, you'll hear a lot of things that is very timely when it comes to what's happening in New Zealand farming, agriculture, horticulture, as well as a lot of great rural community, sports, awards. So it's a great way to stay up to date on what's happening in farming in New Zealand.
Yeah, we love to cover issues, so whether it's political or rural-based issues, so significant announcements maybe from some of the industry leaders, sector leaders, some of the politicians. You can't really, I suppose, I love the politics of it, Sarah, you can't really disentangle the New Zealand ag sector from politics, and so it is a really, really important part. So you will get to see a lot of politicians on this show, ag leaders, but I think the point of difference we want to do too is we want to get behind the farm gate as much as we can. So we want to have real farmers on the show. You don't get any more real than last week when we were speaking to Mark Hooper, one of the Federated Farmers spokesperson, who had a cow calf in the background. One of my guests on the show today actually mentioned it to me, that she actually watched it and she thought it was hilarious. So we do get out and try and do as much realistic farm stuff as we can as well, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. That's what makes it so real, is the fact that we've got people not just ringing up on the phone. They're literally, in this day and age, connecting via their phones wherever they are. So you get to see some beautiful backdrops from people's farms wherever they are sitting at the time, and actually visually showing us some of the things that are going on farm. So yeah, a very unique concept, and we're very grateful to our friends at Face TV for approaching us and saying, hey, we'd like to broadcast this show live every day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday to Friday on Sky. So welcome for those who are watching us on your big screen.
Yeah, and thank you so much to our good friends at Face TV for giving us access to this platform. So Channel 83, I think it's going to be a great initiative, and I know all of our partners and supporters of CountryWide Connect are very excited to be on Sky TV, Face TV, so Channel 83. So really, really looking forward to that. Right, speaking of the show today, Sarah, we've got a really, really full-on show today, so I'm really looking forward to it. What are you looking forward to?
Well, before we get into the show, Andy, I would really like to just quickly touch base on the fact that it has been a monumental moment in our household this morning on the sports front. And I know that many of the people listening and watching will also. I said to my husband, Andy, You never get that excited about anything else in life apart from the moment where he watched Ryan Fox live win the British Open. The excitement, the yelling, the screaming was huge. I mean, he's the first person to have his name as a Kiwi on that cup since Sir Bob Charles.
Yep.
It's a huge honour, and he's never made the top 10 of any Open. So I'm looking forward to catching up with Brendan Telfer, who we know both very well, the sports commentator, but he loves golf, as well as then Argentina's big win this morning.
Well, actually, no, Spain's big win.
Oh, Spain, sorry, my apologies. Oh, see, I wasn't paying attention, I was working. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Spain won the World Cup 1-0. I was working this morning as well, Sarah, so I watched the first half of that game, which was eminently forgettable, and then I had some work to do here in the studio for today's show, so I haven't seen any of the second half so I haven't even seen the goal yet, so I might try and pick that up in one of the breaks. But yeah, Brendan Telfer, really, really excited to talk to him on the show as well. Mark Patterson, has just come back from India, which is interesting for a New Zealand First MP in India selling wool, considering New Zealand First's attitude towards the India Free Trade Agreement. So my mate Mark, who I get on very well with and who I like a lot, I'm going to have to, and I've dubbed the Minister of Wool, I'm going to have to ask him the awkward question about, is it ironic? Is there a bit of hypocrisy when it comes to New Zealand First's attitude towards the Indian Free Trade Agreement? So I'll be interested to see whether I'm still friends with Mark at the end of that interview. We'll see, shall we?
Yeah, but in fairness to New Zealand First and the FTA, and potentially it's more the writing of the free trade agreement, and as opposed to the free trade agreement full stop. And good on Mark for getting out and market in India to promote our wool, because we need everything we can on the global stage to ride this new trend as well. Talking about all things innovative. This is quite an innovative show that we've got. We will be talking apps for livestock management. We're talking about wearable technologies in terms of cow collars. And we're also talking about how drone technology has delivered vital supplies to cut off Marlborough communities. So the one thing you can get here from CountryWide Connect is keeping you up with the latest and greatest and what's happening in technology to drive our productivity forward in the sector.
Yep, absolutely. Really looking forward to all of that. But we're going to kick the show off with a real favourite and someone who we like having on the show a lot, Nicole McKee, who is the Associate Justice spokesperson. A lot of discussion about firearms safety and the new firearms laws. There's a few things, and the volunteer training allowances. So we're going to talk to her in a couple of minutes about this. So really looking forward to getting Nicole McKee. In fact, I think she's ready right now for us. Justice. The ACT Party is pushing for a...
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamp.
Right, as I said, time to catch up with Nicole McKee. She is the Deputy Leader of the ACT Party, the Minister for Courts, and the Associate Minister of Justice. The ACT Party is pushing for a rewrite of New Zealand gun laws, highlighted by a proposed shift towards volunteer-led firearms safety training. However, this policy has recently been overshadowed by new ACT candidate Paul Henry and some controversial comments on semi-automatic weapons. To join us to clarify this and a couple of other things is, as I said, the Associate Minister of Justice, Nicole McKee. G'day, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Andy. Great to be back having a chat with you.
Lovely to have you on, as always. We really enjoy our chats. Hey, before we get on to the volunteer training, I just noticed something yesterday. Coalflow is saying the police have been using bullying and standover tactics and that trust has collapsed since 2019, while Firearms Safety Authority says those claims are inflammatory and trust is actually increasing. Is Minister responsible? Are you concerned about this? Is there an issue here, or who's right or wrong? What's your position on this?
Well, I am the minister that's responsible for rewriting the Arms Act, but I'm not the minister that's in charge of the Firearms Safety Authority. That's someone else. So what I can speak to on this is just my experience, and I think they're both right, to be fair. There has been a serious, falling of trust and confidence between licensed firearm owners and New Zealand Police. It's occurred since 2019. It's a fact. Multiple surveys have shown that this decrease is real, and it's between the LFOs, licensed firearm owners, and New Zealand Police. Yet on the other hand, We have seen a change in culture that is starting to occur with the Firearms Safety Authority. And as a result, we're starting to see a rebuild of the trust and confidence between the LFOs and the Firearms Safety Authority. And my expectation is once we pull FSA away from New Zealand Police and they become firearm safety and education being the main part of it, you should hopefully see that trust and confidence rebuild. So they're both right in that there has been a serious downturn in trust and confidence, but there's also a remarkable upturn that is starting to happen now, and I expect it will increase again once we do this transfer, expected to happen in September.
So it's interesting, the Coalition of Licensed Firearm Owners seem to be very active at the moment. It's an organisation which I think, were you part of it before you went into Parliament? You were the spokesperson, weren't you?
Correct. I actually put my hand up as a volunteer in order to give back to my firearms community, and I was their secretary for a while and became their spokesperson actually in 2018, around December 2018. No one knew what was going to happen in March 2019, and that really just threw me out there on the platform for the Council of Licensed Firearm Owners, yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because certainly, and personally, and I know you and I have spoken about it in the past, I'm very pleased to see a strong voice for licensed firearm owners, because I think in the past that we have been pillarised by certain members of the community, and I've always thought that was very, very unfair for the majority and the vast majority of legal licensed firearm owners. So yeah, interesting. Okay, the push for Firearms Safety Authority though to utilise volunteer training at clubs and ranges is gaining traction. Corflow are worried that the funding that was paying these trainers is going to be swallowed up, and the fact that the volunteers were going to have to pay for their own petrol, diesel, their own costs. Are you concerned about this? Can we see that this isn't going to happen?
If I may just take a bit of time to step back to how it was. So before I entered Corflow, I was actually the program manager for firearms and hunter safety with New Zealand Mountain Safety Council. And at that time, that was in the early 2010s, 2013, I took on that role. We had 486 volunteer firearm instructors throughout the country who would process around 11,500 license applications, new license applications, by doing training, safety training and testing every year. I believe that number has now dropped, the amount of people that are going through. The last time I looked, I think it was somewhere around 3,000, 4,000 people per year. And of course, there's massive delays. And this is because we moved from a volunteer model, which had its pros and cons with it, to paid employment. Now, my understanding is that 50 instructors were going to be paid to do these courses all over New Zealand and keep those figures up. I think, and I could be wrong here because, like I said, I'm not in charge of the FSA, but I think they're only down to 10 paid instructors. And of course, the numbers that they're able to put through are low because we don't have that many. What I think is very important is that we do go to a model where we utilise people within the community so that they keep an eye on those others that are coming through their community. They could refer them to a sports club, they could refer them to gunsmiths, and they are almost like a hands-on person that could be reached out to if they needed any help. And that part of the model back in 2013 to 2015 worked very, very well. The issue that we have is consistency in what is being delivered, and whether or not people are actually, as individuals, as human beings, standing up in a classroom and giving the same messages. And when this occurred, or when we thought about this back in the early 2010s, of course, we thought, how do you get that consistency? So a DVD was established, and the DVD had to be played at every single classroom event, so that no matter what the instructor said, all of the key information was still given to those people at the time that they went to sit their test. So I think what we need to have, and to be frank, is more instructors from the community, and those that volunteer should be recompensed their real expenses. They shouldn't be out of pocket for helping their own community. So things like petrol reimbursement, even helping out. We used to go up there and take them TVs and videos to ensure that they had a way of being able to play the DVDs or the video player as it was back then. So supporting the volunteers to support their community is really, really important. But what's also important is making sure we have consistency in what is being delivered. But we most certainly need to get those numbers up, the numbers of license applications coming through, because dropping the way that we have, that's huge, from 11,500 down to 4,000. That's a massive, massive drop, and it's unnecessary.
Absolutely. I still remember that DVD, actually. I think the last time I got my license done 8 years ago now, I think it was definitely played, and I still remember it. You've talking about clubs, and I'm interested in this because you've argued that the legal requirement for clubs are crushing them under bureaucracy and compliance. I would have thought that a club is the ideal way, and if you think about a club, a sports club, that's where you learn, right? You go in, you have experienced people who teach you things, whether it's a soccer club, a netball club, a rugby club, or a firearms club. Surely that's where we want to make it easy for people to join a club, and we want to make it easy for a club to exist, don't we?
We do, and this is what was so good about the previous regime, is a lot of these volunteers came from clubs. They would refer people to their clubs, and then of course when we had really high trust and confidence between LFOs and New Zealand Police, an LFO would actually go to their local arms officer and raise any red flags or concerns that they had. A lot of them now feel too afraid to do that, and this is part of the rebuild that we need to have. A new license holder should go to a club. They should meet people that are like-minded, that can help teach them how to be safe with their firearms, both at home, in the community, and out in the field. And I think that this is really, really important, that we can re-establish this in some way. And these people all come from different clubs, and we have so many different disciplines. So it's really good to be able to say, oh, you want to go shotgun shooting? Here's your local clay target club. You want to do small bore shooting? We have several indoor small bore shooting clubs here. Go see them on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. But at the moment, there's none of that information out there for people. You just go, you do a course, you disappear, you're not seen again. And I find that really confronting and worrying for the future state of licensing.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of misinformation or misunderstanding, your recent high-profile ACT candidate, Paul Henry, made some comments, particularly about semi-automatic rifles. Did you go and have a quiet word to him and explain, give him a little bit of a come-to-Jesus moment? I guess my question is that symptomatic of a lot of people or urban people's misunderstanding about what firearms are and how they're used and why they're used in New Zealand? I mean, is it probably understandable that Paul makes a comment like that?
Well, I think it is, because it was also the way that he was posed the question was in relation to American licensing or American gun laws and New Zealand gun laws. And he came out and said, I think we've got it about right, when he's comparing it to what America do. But he wasn't over the detail, and he was day one of being a candidate. I didn't need to have a talk to him. He realised that there was something happening there, but he didn't understand or know the policy. When I did have a word with him, it was the following day. He said to me, look, I went and investigated, and good on him. I mean, that's the journalist in him coming out, right? He went and had a look, he investigated, he saw what ACT's doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and he's totally on board with us. He thinks we've done the right thing. When it comes to the semi-automatics and full automatics, he didn't understand that there is an actual reason for having them in New Zealand, and the fact that they haven't all been banned as well, which is what Labor has purported to tell everyone in New Zealand, that they banned them all. Well, they didn't, because that's the legitimate use for it. Paul now understands this, and I think really he didn't do too bad, considering it was day one of being an ACT candidate. And in that interview, he was chucked. Every single policy that ACT had done was chucked at him, and I thought overall he did pretty well, and he's learned about the firearms situation since that interview. We're really excited to have Paul on board with us. We can't wait to get him out on campaign and learning all of our policies and using his really good articulate skills to be able to share it with all of New Zealand.
All right, no, Nicole, we really love having you on CountryWide Connect. Thank you so much. We will keep talking. I think there's some really interesting work being done in this space. My firearms license needs to be renewed in 2028. I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping to God that you get the new license system through by the time I've got to do it, because I've seen someone near and dear to me do it recently, and it's a nightmare. So please carry on. Get it done for me, please.
Will do. Thank you so much, Andy, and you have a great day ahead.
All right, Nicole McKee there. Yes, she is the Associate Justice Minister, and a lot to be spoken about with firearms reform. Good to see that happening.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. Leading agri-tech innovation is SenseHub Dairy, the modular end-to-end dairy system, combining animal behaviour monitoring, milk intelligence and automation in one connected platform, backed by MSD Animal Health.
Well, welcome to CountryWide Connect, and yes, thanks to our great partners at SenseHub Dairy who support our agri-tech segment here on CountryWide Connect. And so every week we are talking about agri-tech innovation. And the interesting thing is it's not about innovation or technology for its sake. It really genuinely needs to be a tool that drives forward a change in how we farm. Joining me on the show following a really great article that was very popular from our Beef Country magazine earlier this year is Tom Chisolm, of AgDesign, who very much highlighted that technology is not a silver bullet. Is it, Tom?
Morning, Sarah. Yeah, no, definitely not. I think it's all about building a set of tools that's going to create an overall farming system for you, and looking at individual components in isolation is not really necessarily going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Do you see a lot of farmers in what you do come home with collars and go, right, now what?
Yeah, I think there's a sort of set of values that people have when they're looking to be farming, and when they go out and there's a tool that becomes available, it's maybe sometimes it's how do we implement that into our farming system, rather than looking at the system as a whole and saying what's this going to drive for us as a business overall. And I think even in the dairy sector you've seen where people have maybe started using collars and had one set of a sort of a vision for what it was going to do, maybe around labour, and they're looking at it and it's achieving other goals for them outside of that.
Yeah,
Tom,
that's the
sorry, Sarah. I was just going to say, Tom, is it a simple fact that it's a bright new shiny thing sometimes, and we see it and we just want to have it without really thinking through what the benefits or sometimes the costs will be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might have just lost the sound on Tom there. Hold on. You're there, Tom? Sorry, I think your sound just broke up a wee bit. Are you still there with us? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I think I've just got headphones and speakers trying to clash at the moment. But yeah, sorry, I'm just going to change.
And so Tom Chisolm, while you were just sorting out that technical issue as we're talking about technology, Tom founded AgDesign, Andy, and after his experience managing Harry Wise, who was the founder of the techno-grazing system, this is on a farm near Bulls, and so therefore AgDesign is really equipped with how to design and implement grazing systems and sort of works with people. Are you there, Tom?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yep. Excellent. So as you were there, Tom, with regards to farm design, how do you go about sitting down with a farmer and actually working through those goals because of the things that they are aware and focusing on, but maybe not aware?
Yeah, look, I think when people come to us, they're generally looking to take a step forward in terms of what they're doing, and that maybe involves intensification or a change of policy and a change of land use, and probably I think the biggest variable that there is, and when you're sort of working through that process, is the individual that you're talking to, sort of thing, like sorry, the farm is a big part of things, but it's the biggest variable in the system is going to be the farmer themselves, sort of thing. So it's really sitting down and sort of learning their objectives and what they're trying to do as part of the system.
So Tom, just on that then, what sort of mistakes do you see farmers or the system, not mistakes is probably not the right word, but what sort of things do you guide farmers through when they get a system like this?
I guess one of the first things that you've got to understand, if you're going to be you've got a tool with virtual fencing that's going to give you a lot more subdivision potential. One of the biggest things that you need to consider is what co-investments need to go along with that sort of thing. So it's things like there's water. Water we consider to be the biggest limitation in terms of production and system development, rather than the fencing. Even, to be honest, like, water's a big driver in terms of pasture utilization, pasture growth, nutrient transfer, pasture composition, and into things like animal health as well, sort of thing. So water needs to be part of it, and things like your potentially animal handling is going to change a bit. So even things like cattle yards and stuff like that as well in the system, so that you've got a bit more convenience around what you're doing, because there's always a trade-off when you implement a system with virtual fencing. Then you're going to save on day-to-day work, but there's potentially a bit more yard work in terms of adjusting collars and that sort of thing as well.
I was just up at Mount Summer Station earlier this morning, and they were showcasing various different technologies to me for our magazine. But fundamentally, the time now seems to be going in interpretation of the data and making those more precise grazing management decisions. Have you seen sort of like this upskilling needed for people to kind of understand what that means, and also sort of how to get a benchmark around that conversion of dry matter to carcass weight?
Yeah, I guess for us, we've been working with systems for a long time. I've been doing this for 30 years now, and we've and the tools that we've had to do this have been at a level that are going to match what people are doing with the likes of Halter and eShepherd now as well. And one of the things for us is that there's a lot of detail around how you make different systems work, sort of thing. There's a big window that you can operate a system within in terms of stocking rate and mob and livestock class, sort of thing. You can operate at different stocking rates and different stock classes, and that there's no right or wrong with that, but there are implications in terms of how you manage those systems to get the best out of them.
Yeah, it is interesting when you're talking about that, because I hadn't considered that. Well, I hadn't considered the water hurdle that you talked about, because if you're talking about fencing and pasture utilisation, which is what these collars are about, particularly on high country, you do have to give access to water, right? You can't just keep them shut off. So it's very, very interesting. What about also talking about changing the stock class, and if you were sheep and beef going to cattle, there's a lot of infrastructure you need to build in around the back of that too. So I get what you're saying. Are farmers utilising this to the level that they probably can, Tom, you think?
Oh, look, to be fair, not yet. I don't think. I think there's a long way to go, but it's all about creating opportunity at this point. And like one of the things that will happen, a farmer with a herd of beef cows puts collars on this winter. All of a sudden their utilisation's going to improve, and potentially even their pasture growth into the early spring, which is going to have some implications around their feed curve and their production system going forward. But you sort of look at it and say, well, next year maybe they carry a few more cows, or maybe there's an opportunity to carry more ewes or a different class of cattle through, and those systems will start to evolve over time. But one of the things that I see happening is that you'll end up with less of that sort of pasture that you've lost control of over the spring, because if your wintering becomes more efficient, you're going to be able to carry a higher stocking rate through and utilize that feed better, sort of thing. So there's going to be implications over time that people's feed curve changes, and that's going to drive changes in policy and create opportunities either for other classes of stock, or even, maybe cows aren't such an important part of the system in terms of needing to do the hard work of getting through feed that's been lost control of, and that can even maybe become a bit more of a driven system where they're using deliberate deferred grazing and creating systems around that.
Yeah, this is one of the interesting things that I think we should all continue to follow, Tom, is the evolution of farmer learning as we do. And I think also, that pasture quality and pasture growth that comes from better utilisation and better grazing management is quite exciting, actually, for both dairy, sheep and beef properties as well, to realise that return on investment, which is very important if you are looking at these technologies. And there's great consultants like Tom Chisolm of AgDesign that can kind of work with you and actually build a good system around these decisions. So you're not sort of just jumping on the bandwagon because your neighbour has, that you've got some real good output around what you're trying to achieve on farm. Thank you so very much to our great friends at Sense Hub Dairy, who bring us our agri-tech innovation segment here on CountryWide Connect.
Sense Hub Dairy, powered by MSD Animal Health. To learn more about Sense Hub Dairy's modular dairy system that combines animal behaviour monitoring, milk intelligence and automation in one connected platform, visit sensehub.co.nz. CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way, built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us, I thought game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient, time saving too, really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG Wrightson stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the BNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.
Thank you very much for joining us on CountryWide Connect. To our loyal and longest fans who have been listening to us via our CountryWide Connect app as well as on our website, catching up on demand. It's wonderful to have you with us wherever you're tuning in around the world. Because that is the thing, Andy, now when, we have this new innovative broadcasting, we are a global show effectively. We're not kind of bound by being on a frequency in New Zealand or also a TV station just here in New Zealand.
I know it's a bit frightening in some ways, but it's very interesting to do this. And and with that knowledge that it is available to be viewed pretty much anywhere else in the world. But again, and you and I were just talking during the break, it's a little bit different knowing that we're on Sky TV, Channel 83 with Face TV as well, right? That is a new thing for us. And Sarah, to be honest, when you and I were talking about this in 2025, I didn't quite expect us to be here today launching on Face TV. So it's been a fairly fast evolution. You didn't warn me about this.
Well, you said to me, yeah, hey, look, I've got a face for radio. And I said, no, you'll be all right for a face for online, but you've actually now got a face for Face TV.
Yeah.
Just trying to put a pun out there. It's awesome to be here on Sky with you wherever you are around the country. I'm Sarah Perry-Lamp and my host Andy Thompson. If you are new to the show, it's a really great show that we've got actually today, where we're leaning in heavily than we have on most shows, all packed together around technology. And our last interview was with talking about wearables, and we've got a great new app coming up after this particular one as well. So in terms of staying up with the play, this is the place to do so. So modernising body condition scoring for sheep, beef and deer farmers is what has been on on the go for Becks Smith, but probably still also a lot of other things on the go at the same time. Central Otago veterinarian, farmer and agri-entrepreneur with many, many hats has developed this specifically for use in the yards. It's called Stock Score, and Becks is joining us now. Becks, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Are you in chilly Central Otago today?
Yes, chilly Central Otago. It's been a -5 degree frost this morning, but great to be with you, Sarah and Andy.
Hey, so, I mean, when it comes to body condition scoring and taking advice from an app that has been developed from a vet, we can most certainly take faith in this. But you actually also launched this at the recent New Zealand Veterinary Association's conference. I'd love to understand, how did it go down with your colleagues?
Okay, so I want to make it clear from the start that the science of body condition scoring is not new. So we haven't changed or revolutionized anything there. But what I'm trying to do is actually just make that data capture easier and actually get the uptake of the science that we already know. So that went down really well with the audience at the Veterinary Association conference, because we needed that next step to actually bring the science together with behaviour on farm.
Becks, I was a dairy farmer. Body condition scoring is not unusual for dairy farmers. In fact, it's a really, really important part. I know from my discussions and being part of this show is that body condition scoring is gaining popularity in sheep farming, but it hasn't been used a lot. Is it because of the difficulty of doing it and capturing the information, or do you expect that this app now will encourage more farmers to body condition score their stock?
I'm hoping it will encourage more farmers to body condition score. Yes, dairy has uptake the technology of body condition scoring at a much higher scale. I think that's partly to do with the fact that they have third-party trained people who come out and do the body condition scoring, and Dairy NZ has invested a lot of time and effort into partnering that body condition score data with financial returns to dairy farmers in both productivity, profitability, animal health, those things. Those things hold true with sheep farmers, beef farmers, and deer farmers, that actually we see body condition score impacting productivity, profitability, animal health, and pasture utilisation, referring to that your previous guest. But actually, it's bringing that all together. And I don't think in the past we've had a way to capture that that's held it, but also made it useful for farmers.
Okay, so can you explain to us a little bit more around how the app works? It's more than just, say, a digital notebook.
So it captures the body condition scoring race side. So it's available to work offline, one-handed, captures the data as you record it, but then also it provides some really interesting mob level insights as you're going along. So it can extrapolate in the mob how many you will have that require preferential feeding or that are at optimal. So you start to see those mob level insights as you're collecting the data. Then once you've got that data, it will allow you to compare today's recording event with what you did for that same mob in previous events. So starting to see trends over time and distribution curves, which is really important because we know that the distribution is more important than the average when it comes to body condition scoring.
So by the fact that you're saying it's one-handed, my guess is that there is just a bunch of numbers and you just tap that number as you score the sheep or whatever animal it is.
Yeah, so big button, big numbers for clumsy fingers like mine.
Yeah.
All of ours, really. When you're busy doing something like body condition scoring race side, you need something really simple. There's also a beta mode in the app that's allowing for voice capture. So should we be able to, we can put the phone somewhere and actually just capture that using our voice recording.
That's a really good idea. I can see this kind of iPad that's got a rugged case on it that's kind of like built into the race. Is that sort of so you can be pushing it quite quickly?
Yeah, so there's a number of ways that people can use them. But hey, it's all got to be better than a piece of paper and a pen that you're trying to lead on with a clipboard on the race side, right?
Yeah. Hey, for those who aren't aware of the trend in improving body condition scoring and that impact on all of the different advantages, could you give us a 101 on why making better management decisions on body condition scoring is a good thing?
Okay, let's use sheep for an example because that's a really simple one to use. But we want a ewe to be a body condition score of 3, which sheep use a 1 to 5 scale pretty much every day of her life. And so if we shift either ewes that are too low a body condition score up to the optimal of a 3, or actually ewes that are over the optimal back to a 3, we see increases in their ability to conceive, so to get in lamb. We see increases in their ability to carry those lambs to term. With multiple litter sizes, we see improved lamb birth weights. We also see improved lamb neonatal survival. When ewes are at a body condition score 3, they have an improved lactation performance. They have less incidence of animal health disorders, such as ketosis, which is a metabolic disorder based on energy supply. And so we start to see a full picture of actually improved reproductive performance, animal health, and profitability, because ultimately we get more kilograms of lambs weaned per ewe mated, which is a key measure of success in sheep farming.
Becks, thank you very much for developing this. It's going to be a very useful tool for sheep, beef and deer farmers. If you're looking to do a bit of a free trial, stockscore.co.nz is where you can access the platform and start to build that into your yards. What a great way for the season ahead to kind of look at improving your recording of that. Becks Smith, our Central Otago veterinarian, agri-entrepreneur, now launching Stockscore. Andy, it's a very good thing to be able to do, and I think just with all of this technology we're talking on this show today, it's actually changing the farmer, really, in regards to what the role is on farm, doesn't it?
Yes, certainly. Capturing that data is becoming more and more important, and actually being able to make decisions based on that data. The more information you've got, the better your decision making is. So yeah, fascinating one to see, and that will be a very, very useful app, actually, I think, for a lot of farmers. Hey, speaking of apps, Sarah, we've all heard about Airbnb, but our next guests have got an Airbnb app, for hunting, matching farmers and farms with hunters in pest control. So Huntable App is coming up next. We've got Mitch Tucker and Gail Radburnd on the show. In here, in studio with me, I think they're waiting out there, to talk about this new innovation. So looking forward to that, the Huntable App, up next on CountryWide Connect.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way, built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us I thought a game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient. Yeah, time saving too, really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG writes and stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the BNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamb.
Alrighty, welcome back. Great to have you with us on CountryWide Connect today. Yes, hunting. I know a lot of people love to get out and hunt in the great outdoors in New Zealand, but sometimes getting access to private land in New Zealand is a little bit difficult. Farmers, particularly, understandably wary of red tape, liability issues, and, let's just say some past negative experiences. Enter Huntable, a newly launched Airbnb-style platform designed to bridge that gap by giving farmers total control over who accesses their land while making it easier for responsible hunters to find opportunities. Joining us to explain this and how Huntable works are Huntable co-founders Mitch Tucker and Gail Radburnd. Welcome to the program. Hey guys, welcome. Gail and Mitch, Airbnb for hunters. How does it work? Gail, tell us.
So I guess effectively like the Airbnb, farmers can choose to launch their properties with us, obviously no charge for that. They keep full control over their listing, deciding what their availability is, what's available to be hunted, and actually also get to decide who comes on their property via the profiles of the hunters. And then the hunters themselves sign up for the subscription with the company. They create their profiles themselves, which says a bit about them, because for the farmers, they're not coming onto a bit of land, they're coming onto their homes.
Yeah.
So the farmers get to view these profiles and see that, they've been hunting for a few years, what their experience is, and it helps build that bit of relationship between the hunter and the farmer before meeting as well in person.
So Mitch, I suppose the app itself has got, a whole lot of information from the farmers, landowners, and the hunters themselves. Does it take care of all the health and safety and all the permissions and all that sort of info built into the app for each property?
Absolutely. So essentially our hunters go through their verification process, which includes quite a rigorous sort of bio build out that they have to go through and complete as part of that. We also are running for the first 100 hunters that sign on with the subscriptions, we're actually going to personally call them and run through a personal process in regards to their vetting, which will help us build out a more rigorous process that they follow that's automated down the line. With the farmers, they get all that core information about those hunters, that experience, their background, so they can sort of pick and choose yes or no to those bookings being brought through. They also have the ability for the farmers to set their own specific guidelines, or farmer rules that we've called them, that might be unique to what their needs are or what the requirements are on the property. And when hunters come through, they actually have to, as part of that process, accept those guidelines as well as the standardised ones that we have with them.
So, Gail, what sort of properties or hunting opportunities, landowners' properties are actually on the app?
So currently we've got a big list of ones being built in the moment. We have some live on our listing. So example, I have a property in Hawke's Bay called Ngā Pua, And for a Kintab, it's a bit crazy to comprehend the fact that he's like, come shoot 6 deer a night and there'll be plenty more the next day. So we're making sure we choose these quality properties. We want quality hunters, so we need quality properties for them where they are likely to see sign and get something.
So you're going to go on there, you're going to pay this, you're going to get on there, and you're very likely to get yourself some meat or actually get a trophy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a property where your dad saw a deer as a kid, so there's definitely deer there type situation. It's one where you should come out and actually walk away with something for the table.
Mitch, what about the properties themselves? Are we just talking about hunting opportunities? Is there accommodation options? What can, if someone's signing up, what do they get?
Absolutely. So the great thing about this is that because we have put that Airbnb style booking element to it, we're now seeing that farmers are building batches, or they're building sort of hunting locations where accommodation is available. So it's a wide range of options. You could be looking just a local farmhouse, you could be looking up to a 3 or 4 room villa somewhere. It's really up to them what they want to make available. They set the costs, the amenities that are available in that area. They really got a lot of options to host, and so hunters have the ability now to potentially take their kids out on a hunt but still have somewhere nice to stay.
What about, just thinking out loud, like a farmer might be struggling with pests. Can he just get someone to come in and do pest control effectively, say wallabies or rabbits or whatever?
Yeah, so that's the whole basis for Huntable. It's helping out the farmers deal with the pest issue whilst generating an additional income. So you could come out for a day hunt, shoot a bunch of wallabies, shoot a bunch of rabbits, whatever you've got on property you decide, and you can have it set as just a day hunt only property if you don't have the accommodation there. Okay.
And Mitch, I guess, without getting too into the nitty-gritties, there's a lot of health and safety issues, but there's also firearms issues, right? We talk quite a lot about firearms issues on CountryWide Connect. Is there verification on that or is that up to the hunters themselves to make sure all of their licenses and all their firearms and everything are up to scratch with the regulations?
So as part of that verification process, they do have to upload 2 forms of ID, one of them being a firearms license. Now, with that vetting process, they are put through sort of some testing and some key questions around firearm safety, as well as farm rules and general etiquette on a farm. So we do include that in that process.
Okay. And what's the response been like so far? Because what stage are you at? Have you actually launched and got people out there hunting, or are you still in that kind of launch stage?
So I would say we're in pre-launch. So we opened up the platform to people to start jumping on, filling out their bios, giving feedback while we started increasing those farm accounts. So obviously our core focus at the moment is creating great property listings, and that means we're networking with farmers, talking more with community groups and bringing them on board. For the hunters, they've been able to play with it, give feedback on maybe issues. So it helped us bug fix a few things along the way. We're hoping to actually look at launching in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. So that's the core focus. Now, the key thing really is that we want to make sure that hunters are well verified and the farmer quality is there. So we're feeling very confident within the month.
All right. And you said, Gail, that there's been good uptake from farming or from farmers wanting to have hunters come onto their property.
Yeah, so we've had some really great feedback where it's really good at this key stage as well. We're able to talk to the farmers, and if there's features they want to see, we can discuss them and look at building them out in the future, which is really handy by take on that feedback and act upon it. The farmers themselves, I guess it's hard because it's trying to find the best time to do stuff, which, when the sun's out, you're making hay, and when it's raining, normally that's when the stock are calving or lambing. So it's just trying to get that key time in between. But the good thing with our system is the farmer can jump on their computer at night and have a play around with the system and start building their listing themselves. They don't need us to hold their hand through the whole way, although I'm always there to hold their hand if they need, because technology is always a bit of a fun one sometimes.
Yeah, I guess the Airbnb style. So do you have built into it, Airbnb has the rating system? Do you have that ability for farmers to rate the hunters and for hunters to rate the properties?
100%. So something that we've had from the community feedback while doing the build is the fact that farmers and hunters wanted the ability to leave reviews, which is fantastic, but they also wanted the ability to send internal messaging with that review back to the Huntable team. So if there's something that they wanted to leave a note, bit of feedback during that hunt from either side, we can get that as well, and we can discuss that with both parties.
When it comes to the farms pricing, how do you work that out? Because it would be different how do you work out the pricing? I mean, does the farmer just say, hey, I want to charge X to have these guys come in? Because there's a big difference between coming out and blowing away a few bunnies and actually going and getting a trophy stag.
So with that, we do let the farmers decide the price. I can advise them and go like, on average, this is what they're charging to hunt deer. But in the end, we do let them charge the price. So I've got some farms that have just a big issue and they want everything gone. And they're like, we want people out. We don't care what we get from it. We just want this pest gone. So that's when I'm like, well, look, if you want to make it viable, like $50, I've got some farms charging $50 to come through, shoot a pig, shoot some rabbits and get rid of them all, and the odd goat. Whereas like a lot of farms with deer are kind of going around that $140 rate. They vary between obviously going, it's $140 per person per day to shoot a meat animal, and some are just like pay $140 and smoke as many as you can get.
Because they're just a pest.
Yeah, they're just a pest, that's it.
I can imagine some farmers with rabbit problems and hares and wallaby problems so don't care.
Yeah, they just like take as many as you can get, we want them gone.
Yeah. And the meat animals themselves, so it is, obviously the hunters do get to take the animal. There's probably rules around how they dispose of the carcasses and all of that sort of stuff. That would be in the T's and C's for that property.
So each farm has their own set of farm rules. So some of the, just chuck the guts over a gully or something inconspicuous. Others are you've got to take everything out. The farmers get to set that for themselves because every farm's so different in terrain and what can be done with it. And the hunters just are aware of those rules when they book the property.
So is the app downloadable already, or you're still in that pre-launch stage?
So at the moment, we are web-based at the moment. We're currently testing and building the mobile version. We're hoping to have that done within the next sort of 3 to 4 months. But primarily our focus was to get the web application up and running. Because of that limitation at the moment, when people make a booking, we'll be sending through PDFs with a detailed breakdown of the maps, the hazard zones, everything else that's being put on the map by the farmer, as well as the core farm rules and core elements that they'll need to take on the hunt. With the new app, we will then be looking at obviously live tracking, the full geofencing element, the ability to heat map and see where things are and where people have been on the property.
Okay. All right. So, it's interesting because I think there has been some changes to the health and safety rules, or they're coming through as well, about liability changing and a few things, which I think is going to make life probably a little bit easier, because that is one of the issues for the farms, isn't it? To that liability of, the concern about liability.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time as well, you'll find that the farmers, the biggest concerns they've had have been knowing where people have been on their properties too. So if something has happened, there's no trackability, there's no way to really keep an eye on what's going on. So for us, with those changes, it will be interesting to see how they positively affect the ability for hunters to come onto a property for a farmer.
All right, Gail, where do people find it?
So we've got our website, www.huntable.co.nz, and also we will be opening up some Facebook groups as well for the hunting community and for the farming community, just to make it more accessible for conversation with the team. We can share updates as well.
So if you're a hunter and you want to have a go in and register on there, and you'll give them a call, part of that the first 100 obviously, and then farms, if they want to open up, same thing.
Yeah, and if the farmers register, I'll be the person that'll be contacting them.
All right, brilliant. Hey, great concept. It's a win-win, looks like to me, all the way around. So I'm sure you'll have some great uptake. Hey, thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
All right, great to have Mitch Tucker there and Gail Radburnd on the program. Huntable.co.nz.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way, built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us, I thought game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient, time saving too really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG writes and stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the BNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. CountryWide Connect, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. Your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.
This is CountryWide Connect News. I'm Richard Badley. New Zealand has retained its position as the world's largest single-country dairy exporter, accounting for 22.1% of global dairy exports in 2025, according to the 2026 World Dairy Map. New Zealand's contribution has held remarkably steady over 8 years at around 22 billion kilograms. The country remains dominant in whole milk powder, accounting for 56% of global exports, a share stable over time. China's dairy imports have softened significantly, with milk powder imports having over 4 years as domestic production grows. New Zealand has adapted well, becoming China's largest supplier of imported liquid milk and cream since 2024, while Middle East, Southeast Asian and Brazilian markets are filling the gap. The EU remains the world's largest overall dairy exporter at 27%, followed by New Zealand and the United States. The Council of Licensed Firearms Owners is pushing back after the Firearms Safety Authority publicly dismissed its annual trust survey, calling out Acting Director Superintendent Bruce Bird for attacking the messenger rather than addressing the substance of the concerns raised. Colfo says its 2026 survey received 1,575 responses from an estimated 220,000 licensed owners, giving it a margin of error of around 2.5%, modelled on the authority's own survey format. The organisation says Bird's claim that the survey invariably finds licensed owners want less regulation misrepresents their position. Colfo says it has always supported robust licensing. What members reject is police administering the Arms Act, a view shared by the Justice Select Committee, which recommended removing sworn officers from day-to-day firearms regulation. Colfo says the authority chose not to contest the substance of the complaints, declining trust, standover tactics, registry errors and armed home visits to law-abiding licence holders, and instead attacked the survey methodology. New Zealand now has 2 confirmed cases of H5 bird flu, with a second detection confirmed on Thursday in a kahu swamp harrier found near Carterton in the Wairarapa, following the initial detection in a seabird on Petone Beach in Wellington. No further detections have been recorded, and there is no evidence of mass wildlife mortality and no detections in poultry. Chicken and eggs remain safe to eat, and the risk to human health remains very low. MPI has staff on the ground in Wellington's South Coast and Wairarapa carrying out checks and is offering one-on-one support and advice to poultry and egg operations in both regions. A technical advisory group of expert scientists is also being established. Anyone finding 3 or more sick or dead wild birds together should not touch them and should call the MPI hotline on 0800 80 99 66 immediately. And that's the latest CountryWide Connect news.
CountryWide Connect, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Birriam-Ladd.
All right, well, it is time to catch up with the Honourable Mark Patterson, the Minister for Rural Communities and the Associate Agricultural Minister. Just come back from a trip to India, actually. India is now our second largest wool market, just returned from New Delhi, where he championed Kiwi Strong Wool at the Bharat Tex 2026 Textile Expo. Mark, g'day, mate. Welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Andy.
You've just had your weekend convention, New Zealand First Convention, and I've read some reports highlighted concerns about immigration and foreign ownership. New Zealand First has traditionally been very cautious about free trade agreements with India. Is there a little bit of irony, perhaps even a little bit of hypocrisy, in the fact that you're in India actively promoting wool exports while your party seems to be less than enthusiastic about deeper ties with India?
No, well, that's not correct. The coalition agreement with National actually specifically references progressing a free trade deal with India. I mean, it's just the free trade deal we've ended up looking like we're going to be signing that we're against. We're not against the trade bit. We're against the immigration and the outward investment, which is kind of extraordinary. And, you know, writ large actually by Prime Minister Modi when he was over here highlighting that he's welcoming all the investment coming out of New Zealand into India, $30 odd billion worth of it. So that's the bit we're against. We've asked the questions about it, you know, and we feel we're on the right side of history there. It's an extraordinary what we've signed up to compared to what we normally do in these trade deals.
All right. What about the convention? How did that go? I heard the numbers weren't quite what you expected. Is that right?
No, well, you had a record turnout in terms of delegates. So we had 380 delegates, the biggest in the party's 33 years. So the party is in rude good health going into the election. There was some commentary around the size of the crowd to Winston's public address, but you know there was 850 odd people there, so that's a fair old crowd. There was a lot of people. We were set up for a few more, perhaps, which visually might have looked, you know, the visuals of that might have been picked up on, but there was still a big crowd there and certainly a very, very successful convention. We've got a really big bench, a strong bench of candidates ready and raring to go.
Very, very open democratically, New Zealand First, right? Warts and all would be the way I would describe it, right? When you've got debate from the floor, and a lot of other parties could learn about this, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, we not only is it open to the media, all our remit sessions, business sessions, but they were live streamed this year as well. So yeah, and I have the pleasure of chairing some of those sessions, and they can be very robust debates, but yeah, no, it's great grassroots democracy in action. And why belong to a political party if you don't have a say in some direction of travel?
Yeah, I guess the point is, most parties do have remits and they have members, but generally nowadays they don't like the media involved. I guess is the point. They don't like what some parties think dirty laundry or awkward discussions being in public. So all credit to New Zealand First for allowing that to occur, in my mind.
Yeah, we just embrace it. It's democracy in action.
Yeah. Some parties don't like democracy, we know that. Hey, you've just come back from, so putting all of that other stuff aside, you've just come back from India, Bharat Tex. How important is India now to New Zealand wool market? And I understand we've got New Zealand wool on the floor of the Indian Parliament. There's a wee story about that. How did that go?
Yeah, well, I'll cover that off first. As part of the trip, we went and saw the wool carpet in their new parliament, which is 20,000 kilos of New Zealand wool. It's a magnificent carpet. It really is. Hand knotted by 900 individual contractors for a company using New Zealand wool. Magnificent designs, very intricate, huge logistical tasks. And it's like walking on clouds. It's absolutely magnificent. But the problem was when we got there and saw it, they got a bit officious on us and wouldn't let us take a photo of it, which was, of course, as much as I wanted to see all the beautiful artworks and history of their parliament, I really just wanted to see the carpet. And but fortunately, we got an intervention from the Speaker of the House, who's the third highest ranked politician in all of India, and we got, not only did we get to he show us personally the carpet and allow us to get a photograph, but we had a meeting with him and his officials, and yeah, we were very warmly received.
So I do recall some discussion about this happening, sort of, was it 6 months or a year or so ago? I remember I think there was some talk about it, so it's great to see it in operation. Did you get to bring a bit home? Did they give you a sample?
No, they're very, it's such a symbiotic relationship. I mean, they make these magnificent carpets, and quite distinct from China. A lot of their manufacturing is still hand knotting. With one company we visited had 30,000 employees knotting carpets. So they're still doing it traditionally, but at great scale. And our wool is the best wool in the world. So they need our wool to hit these high-end European and American markets. So it's a really nice synergy there, and they're very, very keen to work more closely with us.
Interesting. Just on that, so you say New Zealand wool is the best wool in the world. Why is that?
Well, it's the premium strong white wools. The Australians and the South Africans are reasonably competitive on the fine wool, but in terms of the strong wools, the carpet wools, ours has the best colour, the best crimp, and the best strength. So we're seen quite clearly as the premier strong white wools in the world, which is a good position to be in.
How big's the opportunity, Mark, for New Zealand wool into India?
Yeah, we talked about the free trade deal before. Actually, the free trade deal it's useful. I mean, the tariff into India's 2.5%. So it's around the margins useful. The real opportunity is in their textile strategy. They've got what they call a 5F strategy, which essentially is about tripling the size of an already enormous textile industry by the end of the decade. I mean, India is a place where big things happen, and they're throwing an enormous amount of resource to upscaling their textile industry. It's one of their strategic national advantages they see, and we're uniquely positioned particularly to help them in that premium carpet space.
So with that, then obviously it's pretty good for us. You went to the Bharat, is it Bharat? How do you pronounce this? I should have asked you off here. Bharat Tex in New Delhi. It's what is it? Some big field day of, like a big convention, wool convention.
Yeah, it's kind of a field days on steroids, if you can imagine that. 3,500 stands.
Wow.
Field days has got about 1,300, which is big. Just a whole suite of convention halls, probably about 20 of them, two-story halls full of exhibits, textile exhibits. And New Zealand went up there last year. This is kind of, I'm following up on that. We went up there last year. Wool Impact saw this enormous opportunity, and we've come back with some numbers this year and been really well received. And we got because I went up, we managed to get meetings with the textile minister. We got a bilateral wool round table with all their key wool people, plus their associate minister of textiles. So we got a lot of high-level meetings, plus we got to press a bit of flesh with some of the big consumers of New Zealand wool up there. It's been a market that it's been remarkable actually just to learn a little bit about it. We've done nothing up there for 20 years. When I say nothing, everything's been done through brokers. So the likes of Wools in New Zealand's got a broker up there. But in terms of deepening with the relationships, actually the farmers getting to know the manufacturers at the other end has been non-existent, and they're really, really keen to know us. It turns out that they have a lot in common with us, that they're mainly family-owned businesses, multi-generational, been using New Zealand wool Many of them have never been out or seen a sheep shorn. They're very interested in the process. They're very interested in the accreditation processes. They're really looking for NZFAP or ZQ type wools. That they want that farm assurance stuff sitting behind the wool they're buying. So we got to learn a little bit about what they needed, and they're getting to learn a little bit about our processes. So pretty valuable stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, and it sounds like that we've just allowed it to occur over the years. It's strange. We've complained, wool growers have complained for a long time about low prices, but it seems it's taken, it's taken a little bit of, your intervention, to be honest, Minister of Wool, as I've dubbed you, and I think you're doing a fantastic job, Mark, to just grow this. And I think it's sad that we've taken so long to kind of see this opportunity. I just find it strange. We do so well with dairy and meat. Why wool has lagged like this, just not sure. What's your, is that fair comment?
Yeah, well, it's a hangover of getting rid of the wool board and the levy. There may have been a lot to be desired in terms of the model that the wool board used, but they were out on the ground in these international markets, and I think we've allowed brokers to sort of step into that void who are essentially transacting wool. They're not trying to add the value necessarily. They're just taking a margin in the middle, and there's a relationship, and a really warm relationship. We had some of them come out about a couple of months ago, some of the big carpet manufacturers up there, got them out on farm, showed them how sheep were shorn, and they were just blown away. And we met up with them again at the Bharat Tex, and we've got a delegation, the commercial delegation have gone up to a place called Beckenham, which is where the wool industry's based up there, the carpet manufacturers. So there's a lot of catch up going on actually, but a lot of goodwill on both sides. Right. Yeah, it's encouraging, but it is frustrating, like you say, Andy, just to hear just some basics like this in terms of just keeping relationships going and understanding where actually each other are. So there's vast opportunity over there.
Absolutely. All right. Might be time for a wool levy again, Mark? We'll talk about that another day, shall we? Yeah. Let's do that. And we'll figure out where that's going to go. Hey, mate, we're out of time. Really appreciate your time. Mark Patterson, New Zealand First Minister, Associate Minister of Agriculture. Appreciate your time on CountryWide Connect today, mate. We'll talk again. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, always good to catch up with Mark there. Yes, a massive opportunity there in India. It seems strange that we've let that slip for such a long time.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.
Yeah, sorry, as you were saying, Andy, 100% agree with you. It is a shame we've let it slip for so long. The foresight wasn't there when we dropped that levy, and 20 years of sheep farmers having to suffer because of it. It's exciting to know, though, that I think that even off the back of it, we're going to hit it hopefully like a Concorde and a fast catch-up from what Mark was saying. It's the time now to be a sheep farmer. We had a very confident dairy farming family member here in the weekend, and Will said, Sarah would love to go back farming sheep. And he said to me, do you actually like money? Those dairy farmers like to give us a bit of stack, but this is the time now to turn that around.
Look, I think you're right. I was genuinely shocked by what Mark said. He's talking to those Indian farmers, those Indian operators, those wool people over there, going, we've just had nothing from New Zealand. Like, I'd love to know what they've been doing in the last 20 years. They want our product. Why has it taken now for that to happen? Anyway, hey Sarah,
you think about it though, in terms of those, it was basically a race to the bottom with wool. And if you're a distributor and you're a commodity, no one really gives two hoots about it. So now that we've got our major players up there, this is a really exciting time to be a wool farmer.
It is, and I don't think it's too long a bow to say that Mark Patterson has done an incredible job here. As I said, the Minister of Wool, he's taken it, he's leading it, and I give him a huge amount of credit for that. Anyway, hey, look, we've got to go to a quick break, and we're going to come back with Brendan Telfer, legendary broadcaster. I had to have him on the show today just to talk about Ryan Fox's magnificent victory in the British Open, and also we've had the Had the World Cup decided this morning as well. What a big day for sport after the break.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way, built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us, I thought game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient, time saving too really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG writes and stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the BNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.
Alrighty, welcome back to CountryWide Connect. Very excited with this next interview to talk to the man, I don't know if he remembers, but was actually responsible for putting me back on air for the very first time, Sarah, in 1998 on the good old radio sport days. And we talked about sport on the internet. G'day, Telf. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much, and great to have you here with us today.
Hello, Andy. Nice to see you again. Although I wouldn't have recognised you if I passed you in the street. The fact that you've got no hair anymore, but anyway, I suppose that's the toll that broadcasting takes on some broadcasters.
It certainly does.
I'm doing okay.
Yes, absolutely. Brendan, you haven't aged a day since we worked together at MediaWorks. I don't know what quite Andy's doing wrong, but you obviously saw something in him back in the day.
No, he was very persistent. He wanted to be on the radio, and so I found a spot for him. I remember I'd gone overseas somewhere on a job, and I came back and I said to Andy, I've been in America, and everyone over there is using the phones, and they're getting these online sort of websites, and people are buying stuff now off their phone. And of course, that was just exactly what he wanted to hear. And so he came on the air, and he was very popular, and he was our go-to man at Radio Sport for many years when it came to issues around things that we all take for granted now. But Andy was well ahead of his time. Back in 1998, was it, Andy? Wow, it's a long time ago, yeah.
It was 1998. I was thinking about it not long after Radio Sport kicked off, Telf. So it was it was a pretty exciting time, actually. And the old radio days, sport on the internet, it was good. Hey, Telf, but look, let's not reminisce about that. Let's talk about something that hasn't happened in New Zealand sports since, 2005 was the last time a male won an Open. What a magnificent, what a momentous morning this morning. Ryan Fox winning the British Open. Just put it in, give us some context about that. Just how amazing that result is.
Well, it was a classic Ryan Fox win. He's won 19 times as a professional golfer, but this is clearly the biggest win. There's a lovely description of Ryan Fox on Golf Channel this morning after he'd won. They said the fastest golfer in the world is now one of the best golfers in the world, and he's built this reputation which is to be admired. He's very quick, and these days golfers take forever. Every putt they do, every shot they play, they've got their caddies there with their books with all the information about which way the wind's blowing and which way the land is tilted. And then when they get on the green, they look at it from every possible way. Well, the Golf Channel today said that it took 22 seconds for Ryan Fox to make the most important putt of his life. It was 11 feet. What's that? 3.5 meters. He was playing with an American guy who only had a little tap in of 6 inches. And so the custom is that he taps in and then Ryan has the stage to himself. Now, normally it would take 3 or 4 minutes for a golfer against a putt so important. I mean, there was $5.5 million resting on that putt. And he just got up, and it only took 20 seconds for him to put his hand in the hole and get his ball out after the other guy had taken his ball out. So he's so quick. And I remember Scotty Scheffler saying a few months ago that he had a round with Ryan Fox in one of the tournaments, and he said it seemed like, even though there were 3 people in the group, he said it seemed like we were playing as a twosome because Ryan Fox was so far ahead of us all the time. He's so quick, and it's to be admired because golf has become an increasingly slower game. He talks about how the speed helps him, and it helped him again today. He doesn't have to worry about weighing up. Is it going to go that way? Is it going to go this way? He just gets up, looks at a ball, and hits it. And he was brilliant today. I mean, he played the last hole, which is probably the most difficult hole in major championship golf. It's 473 yards. What's that, about 430 meters? The fairway was only 15 meters wide. It was the hardest hole on the course, and he had to make a birdie on that hole to win the tournament. If he'd parted, he would have got in a playoff with this guy called Cameron Young, who'd shot the best round of the day, a 64, and the only blemish he had was on the 18th. So 5 was a very good score on that hole. Well, he went with an iron off the tee, Ryan, for a start off, which surprised me on a hole so long. But he left the ball on the fairway, and he played this brilliant, probably 6 or 7 iron for his second, which landed only 11 feet from the hole, right down in a tight corner where there were 2 bunkers not far away. And then he made the putt for a 3, so there was no need for a playoff. He won it outright, and the commentators were absolutely lost for words. They said so, that they just couldn't believe what they'd seen, that this was the most dramatic sort of conclusion. It's an amphitheatre there with these massive big grandstands, the thousands and thousands of people, worldwide audience of probably tens, if not hundreds of millions of people watching the most important golf tournament of the year. And our boy's done it, Ryan Fox. And they just said that they couldn't describe the kind of magnitude of what he had just done with those 3 shots, the tee shot, the iron and the putt, and magnificent way to win something, and it'll be forever remembered as one of the great finishing performances in major championship golf.
Do you think also, Talf, though, that the commentators were also caught off guard on how far back he was? I mean, that's also going down in history, a 36-hole behind.
Yeah.
How
well,
far
that's right. I mean, the victory today was, the foundation for that was laid yesterday when he shot a 62, and that's the lowest score that anyone has ever shot in major championship golf. Now, the British Open alone has been going 160 years. No one has ever shot a 62 before in all of the rounds of golf from all of the legends up until yesterday when Ryan Fox shot 62. Another guy actually shot 62 as well, which was quite remarkable. And that got him from, I think, something like 50th place to 2nd place overnight, and he was only 2 shots behind the leader. But this is how he wins his tournaments. It's something he's clearly inherited genetically from his father, because Grant Fox was always the leader of the All Blacks in the last 10 or 15 minutes. If they needed to sort of lift their game, he would scream and yell at his fellow players, and he'd lead by example with his tactical kicking and his goal kicking. And I think his son has got that as well. So he leaves his charge late. We had about 4 or 5 holes to go, and he needed to make 4 birdies, and he did over the last 6 holes and won it outright. And that's the Ryan Fox way. So his father today would be immensely proud, not just of this remarkable win, but the way he won it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Telf, it's hard to put into words, and just the shock actually of seeing that, the fact that he's actually come back and done it. What does it mean for him now? I understand he gets exemptions for every major for the next 5 years.
Yeah, he does. It's just, I mean, golf was a sport where if you're good, to use that old saying, the rich get richer and the poor get left behind. As I said, he's won $3 million in prize money today. And goodness only knows how much more he's going to make in revenue from sponsorship deals. They'll all be lining up wanting him to use their bags, the Adidas's and Nikes who want to put him in their clothes, and there's just limitless opportunities for him now. And yes, he gets into all of the major championships for at least some of them I think are only for 2 years, but I think the British Open is probably at least 5 years. So he probably doesn't have to hit another golf ball for the rest of his life. He's going to reap such enormous benefits. I mean, golfers don't like talking about money because the best make so much of it. Well, he's in that league now.
I was just thinking it's going to be fantastic for New Zealand Inc. tourism, for New Zealand exports. You know, he's really putting us on the world map in that phase. But also too, a really exciting World Cup final in New Jersey this morning.
Yes, it was. I got up and watched that as well. I'm not a football fanatic. I have two sons who are. One of them actually lives in Spain, and he is. And we agreed yesterday that I wouldn't ring him after the game whether Spain won or lost, because he'll either be blotto or deeply depressed. And so I'm talking to him at 6 o'clock tonight, when hopefully he will have recovered, because he's an out-and-out Spanish fan. But Spain deserved to win. They were easily the best team over the 120 minutes they played. And there's one statistic which says it all. In football, they have this thing about attempts on goal. And just before the finish of the match, they put this statistic up. It had Spain, attempts on goal 16, Argentina 0. And you couldn't get a much more one-sided final than that. But the Argentinian defence was very good. I'm a little suspicious of a couple of things that happened there. There was a goal disallowed by the referee when it was 0-0 late in the match in the regular time, and it looked like it was a clear goal. There was no issues at all. The guy got the ball and put it. The goalkeeper had fallen over as he tried to get to the ball, and the guy put it in the back of the net. And the commentators called it a goal. Everyone thought it was a fair goal, but the referee said no. And the commentators were at loss to understand, these experts, well, he's got to go over to the sideline and have a look at his own personal monitor to see for himself everything slowed down. And he didn't do that. And there's this sort of story going around, you know, that certain people in high places in a certain sports body wanted Argentina to win the World Cup this time, so Lionel Messi could go out without any shadow of doubt from the game as the greatest footballer of all time if they won the World Cup again with him. They were the defending champions. And I'm at a loss to understand why, but I'm not a football expert by any measure, but I'm at a loss to understand why the referee, who for the rest of the game I thought was very fair when he had to be fair and very strict when he had to be strict. He gave a red card actually to an Argentinian player. So why didn't he go to the sideline and have a look at that goal?
Yeah, honestly, that entire world of FIFA and soccer, you could imagine there's all sorts of strings and things going on.
Yes, I'm keen to get online and start reading about some of this stuff. But anyway, justice was done in the end, and the Spaniards were clearly the better team, and they deserved to win. I'm very happy for them.
Appreciate your time. Veteran sports commentator Brendan Telford joining us here on CountryWide Connect. Coming up after the break, we're going to pivot to talk about first farms and buying a first farm with the support of BNZ. I'm joined in studio earlier this week with Dan Cummings.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way, built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us I thought game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient. Yeah, time saving too, really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG writes and stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the BNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. Agribusiness, brought to you by Bank of New Zealand. Committed to agri for more than 160 years. With over 100 agribusiness partners across the country, BNZ is local and ready to support your business through the seasons.
Here on CountryWide Connect, the topic of succession and how the next generation buy into their first farm is definitely something that we love to cover because it's a topic that is not going to go away. But how do we do that? BNZ, our proud partner for our agribusiness segment here on CountryWide Connect, have been working really hard in this space to ensure that is the case. Dan Cummings, Sector Head of Agribusiness at BNZ, joins me in the studio. Welcome, Dan. Now, Dan, you've actually been with the bank for quite a while.
Quite a while, yeah. Straight from high school, I joined the bank, which was 26 years ago now. Started as a teller in Geraldine branch, a couple of years as a teller before moving across into the agribusiness team as an analyst, I think is what we were known as then. And since I've done every sort of customer-facing role within BNZ Agri, and have been privileged for the last 18 months to have this head of role. So, it's going well.
Yeah, so part of that, what does your role encompass?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really wide-ranging role, from dealing a lot of direct engagement with our bankers and customers all around the country, but then a lot of internal stuff as well, risk settings, products, services, regulatory stuff. So, super wide-ranging role.
So you've been involved in this First Farm mentorship program and the development of that. It's a great way to show how BNZ is really leaning into the agricultural sector and supporting it. How did it sort of come about? And for those who aren't familiar, how does it work?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with how it came about first. So about 12 months ago now, I guess us as the agribusiness leadership team sat down and really challenged ourselves to think, where are the gaps in the current banking sector that helps ensure the primary sector continues to lead from the front, I guess, globally. But then also, us as a bank, what can we do to try to solve some of those gaps? And I guess one concept that we always came back to was that if we were to not only continue to be at the forefront, but actually really double down and truly lead and innovate, it's hugely reliant on the continued supply of young people into farming and farm ownership. And that's something really important to us, is that they don't just get stuck at that operational leadership level, but actually get into a position to get their name on a title where they can really stamp their mark. So look, that's been the true North Star for all of these offerings. In regards to the mentorship program, so we launched that in November last year, solely around dairy and dairy first farm owners and first time herd owners, so first time 50-50 share milking, where we said, look, for those people that have showed all the right qualities, financial discipline, relationship management, operational, really sound, giving them the ability to take that next step perhaps before they otherwise could have through reduced deposit requirements, because we all know, and we've seen for a long, long time, that feeling that things can just keep on getting further and further away as asset values lift. So that's what we're trying to solve for there. But really importantly, instead of just relying, I guess, on traditional banking instruments or mechanisms to make sure things are going okay, actually then pairing and introducing them with one of our existing proven and operationally excellent clients to act as a mentor, stand by them. It's not super structured, every pairing looks slightly different. But one thing every pairing has is someone on the end of a telephone who's probably been there and done it twice, and it's landed really, really
and
well.
And they've seen, adverse weather events. They've seen commodity cycles come and go.
Totally.
Getting the farms the first part, but farming it can be where you need a little bit of support. It's a really cool initiative. And then I understand that the First Farm funding boost is kind of an addition to that, not mutually exclusive to the mentorship program, launched at Field Days. We had Penny Ford on the show at Field Days from BNZ. Could you explain more about how that works?
Yeah, sure. So, as I said, the mentor program at the moment is solely dairy, although we are in the process of scoping that out across other sectors. The funding boost, which is available to all sectors, that's all designed to take a little bit of financial pressure off over those first 2 seasons, which, as you and I know, are often the hardest 2 seasons. So that is things like reduced seasonal finance rates for the first 6 months, discounted term lending on your first 2 million of borrowing for the first 2 years. So for someone who's borrowing over 2 million, which generally in New Zealand is most first-time farm owners, it's very realistic that that'll put over $40,000 back in their bank accounts over 2 years. So super tangible. And for us, that's all about relieving pressure. So if for a first-time dairy farm owner, for example, they can now justify hiring an additional calf rearer, which means they can still coach their kids' footy team and make sport on Sunday, or Saturday I should say, then that's success for us.
Yeah.
For a red meat farmer, if it means they can justify an extra shot of fertiliser, which ends up putting a few more kilos on lambs and calf, awesome. Likewise, if someone actually just wants to chisel away more term debt than they otherwise would have, which might set them up better in the future, then that's awesome too.
If we were having this conversation in, say, 5 years' time, what do you think the First Farm Initiative is going to look like?
Gee, that is a big question. Look, I hope it keeps on growing. It's probably not my answer to that isn't so much what our initiative might look like. It's actually what it might have done for our customers or the sector. Like, success for us would be that the concept of buying your first farm just feels more achievable, and that there are different mechanisms and avenues to be able to get that done. If we can help hundreds upon hundreds of first-time farm owners into their first farm, then look, that would be success for us. Not just success, but actually our obligation to do so.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Dan. I can definitely see this initiative growing, and first farm ownership is definitely a daunting time. So to be able to have the support in many different ways, and it can be more than money, like with the mentorship program, as you said, they're currently in dairy and coming soon across the board. But that first farm boost is available now to all sectors. So just jump on Google and type in BNZ First Farm. You'll find out more information. You can talk to your agribusiness manager, or of course all the contact details there as well for your first farm, but also for your first herd. So if you're a 50-50 share milker, contract milker currently going 50-50, what a great way to be able to get some support. Thanks, Dan. Dan Cummings, the sector head of agribusiness from BNZ.
Thanks for having us.
Out on the farm, the right support goes a long way. Speak to your local BNZ agribusiness partner for insight and expertise you need to farm through the seasons.
All
It was
righty.
really great.
Oh,
catching
way you go.
up Sorry, I was just going to say it was really great catching up with Dan Cummings in the studio, and it's a really great and powerful initiative, Andy, because the succession of the next generation getting into farms is growing momentously. That's a big word. In terms of the size of the problem, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely it is. But there's many different ways to do it, Sarah, and we've talked about this quite a bit on the show. It doesn't have to be buy your own farm outright. There is multiple ways to get into farm ownership. It just reminded me, listening to him actually, I remember how excited I was when we bought our first herd. Back in the day, many, many years ago. And it was a monumental and very exciting thing. And then buying our first property as well, like incredible thing to be able to do. And he talked about it and just how exciting it is, but how pleasurable it is for those guys to help people in to their first farms. And you see that around and around the place. So yeah, it is a pretty good initiative, pretty cool initiative there.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Coming up after the break, and a story that caught my eyes, very interesting, particularly in the fact that we are seeing a lot of drones in the sky for lots of different reasons, but a really practical way in the response to the flooding in Marlborough. Coming up after the break, Colin Aitchison, the Director-in-Chief Pilot for Skyworks, talks about how he got essential supplies into cut-off areas.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp. There's a reason farmers across New Zealand have trusted car fields for over 50 years. From the machinery that works your land, to the seeds that produce your crop, the livestock services that keep your operation moving, and the finance to make it all happen. Carfields is with you every step of the way. Built for New Zealand farmers, your trusted partner on the land. Visit carfields.co.nz or free phone 0800 141 545.
Our first thoughts when Sarah introduced it to us, I thought game changer in almost every possible way, from cost savings, environmental impact, the precision and accuracy of just keeping everything efficient, time saving too really. We are now reassessing our farming business because we have potential to be more productive. We can now look at increasing our stocking rate because we can now put fertiliser where it needs, which means in return we get more grass. It really allows us to optimise nutrient management. We can use the tools to map out and just put the nutrients exactly where it's needed.
Every season brings a new challenge. That's why PGG writes and stands with you on your farm, in your community, and right where it counts. From agronomy advice to farming supplies, we can help keep your animals, crops, and pasture thriving with reliable products from a knowledgeable and passionate team. Find your local technical field representative at store.pggwrightson.co.nz. PGG Wrightson, working with you every season of the year.
We're a fourth generation business, starting with my grandparents.
In our family, innovation has been a mindset. We're always looking to adopt technology that allows us to apply our management practices with as much precision as we possibly can.
You can't execute this vision without good support around you, so VNZ have been there right from the start.
And we're very confident for the future because we have a very strong governance team, and we include the VNZ in that governance team to help us find a way to achieve our business goals.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lapp.
Andy, I just got a text message. Apparently there's a faint relation to Brendan Telfer on our family side. So it was nice to know. Gonna go down that rabbit hole.
A faint
relation.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
For who? You
so
or
I have
me?
to go down that rabbit hole. No, on our family side. Yes.
Oh,
so
I see.
Yes. Hey, that tells you New Zealand's such a small world, isn't it?
1.2 degrees of 1.2 degrees of separation for pretty much everyone in New Zealand.
I bet you don't get as much though around are you related to so and so, because Thompson's such a common name.
Yeah. Oh, really? Thank you. Yeah. No, it is son of Tom. Yeah, it's a fairly common name actually. So no, no, we don't get that. There's plenty of them, and there's plenty of other Andy Thompsons floating around the place as well. So yeah.
Have you met any?
I've met a couple actually, yeah, I have. One of them heads Doc here in Canterbury, and it was a bit confusing when I was contracting to Doc because I used to get some of his emails and he used to get some of mine. So, and we still get phone calls from media ringing me wanting to talk to him. So, and then I have to put them on, so anyway, that happens a bit.
Yeah, fun. So now coming up, we're actually talking to Skyworks Chief Pilot Colin Aitchison, who's been up in the last couple of weeks up in Marlborough. Many of us sitting here concerned, looking at pictures around the isolated rural communities cut off from the recent floods in Kaikoura. Drone technology has been used in multiple different ways. We've talked on the show about, the increase in spraying and crop counting. But when it comes to getting in isolated supplies, is this now a way of the future with adverse weather events? Joining us, Colin, thank you for taking the time. Can you just start by kind of explaining to us about, what life is like as a chief pilot of a drone?
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's interesting. It's a really interesting line of work to be in. We have no idea what's going to be coming in, what we're going to be asked to do. It's taken me as far south as Scott Base in Antarctica and as far north as Colorado in America. So yeah, no 2 days are ever the same.
Colin, interesting about that. So have you had a career in aviation before you started flying drones? Is this something that's an add-on or you've just moved into it?
Yeah, so I guess my first sort of aviation job was skydive cameraman down in Queenstown, filming people jumping out of planes. So I did that for about 10 years, about 9,000 odd skydives in there. And when I was actually looking for a way to stabilize the very first GoPro camera system on our skydiving helmets, and that's how I came across drones. But they were in their infancy back then. It was all sort of cobbled together kit sets and stuff. So they've obviously come a long way in that sort of 15 or 16 years that I've been flying them.
So, for instance, to have the weight of carrying supplies, where is that cutoff with CAA around light aircraft and a drone? Because it's getting quite close.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to see some boundaries being pushed, and it's an interesting conversation to have with CAA. So the drone we were using in this instance was Flycart 30 DJI, and that can lift up to 40 kilograms. But within sort of 2 years, they've gone from that payload capability already now to we're seeing the DJI Flycart 200 in China, which can lift 200 kilograms, and that's been used recently in China to actually lift humans out of floodwaters. They might have seen some videos of people stuck on the roofs of buses and stuff with completely surrounded by floodwaters, and they're using the drones to go and pluck these people out. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I can't speak on behalf of CAA, but there are drones out there in the world that can lift up to 600 kilograms. So
and what's our laws like all around all that at the moment? Like what laws will have to change, do you reckon?
So the way the rule sets are separated is that there's part 101, and that's really the rule set that everyone has to operate under if they're flying a drone. If you need to operate outside of that, then you operate under part 102. So under part 101, you can't fly anything above 25 kilograms. And then under part 102, the sky's the limit, figuratively and literally. If you can prove to CAA that you can operate a machine of X weight safely and how you're going to mitigate the risks around it, then they will let you operate it.
So, Colin, is the issue here the fact that if something goes wrong, then you've got a machine of this amount of weight that could effectively fall and injure people or injure property, right? Is that the consideration?
Yeah, so in New Zealand, we're a bit unique. You're not allowed to fly over persons or property without their permission, unless you're operating under Part 102, in which case you can notify them before or after if it's practical to do so. So in other countries, you're allowed to fly above property without consent or without notification. And so, yeah, the risk, most people think that the CAA is concerned with privacy, which is not the case. It's purely, as you say, if a drone falls out of the sky and lands on someone's house or property or person and hurts them, then that's what the CAA is concerned with. And that's why you can't fly over property under Part 101 without consent.
So talk us through what you do as a very professional drone pilot, and you've got an emergency situation. How do you make sure that you're ticking the boxes to get where you need to go with what you need?
Yeah, so our Part 102 exposition is approved by the CAA, and that dictates how we do an operation. So we don't need consent for property over flight. We obviously would for persons, and we wouldn't put that machine. It says in our operating manual that we're not allowed to fly that machine over persons without their consent or if they're not involved in the operation. So we can turn up. In this case, the bridge is out. We actually did go and seek consent from the landowner to fly across, but if we couldn't find them, then we can just stop, set the drone up, and do a quick hazard and risk assessment, make sure that there's nothing untoward, and then we can take off and fly and, for instance, leave a notification in the letterbox or on the person's doorstep saying, hey, we were here, this is what we were doing and why, and that's the boxes ticked for us.
So how did it come about then for this particular operation when you flew these supplies out? Obviously, we know this bridge is out. What's the process?
Yes, so we're actually inducted into the Marlborough Emergency Coordination Centre, so they can call on us to do exactly what we did if they need to. But in this instance, it was a member of the public, Bridget, who reached out. She just gave me a phone call. She'd seen a video of us lifting some deer carcasses out of a nearby valley and wondered if we could do the same for her and lift some groceries in. So, we're happy to help.
That is so classic, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, honestly, hunters, they could literally get quite lazy now, couldn't they? Shoot it and then send the drone over, pick the deer carcass up. No walking.
Yeah, the video we posted went crazy viral. I think it was up to like 9 or 10 million views, and the comment section split 50-50 as it always is online. But half the people were saying, yeah, amazing, and the other half were saying, you lazy so-and-sos, this isn't great. So what do you do?
So
yeah, exactly.
Just on that, you talked about being able to lift the 40 kilograms, and I'm not sure how much you lifted in this particular flight, but obviously at this point, if you're just going over a bridge, range isn't that big of an issue, right? But what sort of range can these drones, how far can you fly them?
Yeah, so that's another regulation issue. So technically under Part 101, you can only fly within your line of sight. On our 102 certificate, we can fly out to 3 kilometers, and but the machines themselves can fly obviously much further. That drone loaded up at 40 kgs will do about 8 kilometers in 10 minutes. And the 200 series with 200 kilograms on board will fly for 11 minutes and fly out to 10 kilometers. So starting to get some pretty impressive distances. But the bridge is a great use case. You're just literally hopping back and forth, and we can sit there with the generator and a rooftop tent and be on site for days if we need to,
And just carry supplies across, because you've got the people who can come right to the bridge, right? So you've not really, it's just a delivery system.
Yeah, correct. Yep, digital zip line.
Honestly, that's what Mount Algidus needs, the river rules my life up the Rakaia Gorge, and they could just literally have their own drone, Andy. So many places. The muzzle, they are obviously pilots. I'm getting excited about what you can do with this. Colin, what are you seeing is going to be sort of in the next 12 months? I don't even want to say 12 months because this happens so quicker, even 6 months, around application of use in rural communities.
Yeah, it's hard to know. The technology is just improving and exponentially. The development curve's near vertical, and it's surprising to see what the manufacturers are able to do. I know one of the other manufacturers now is creating sort of a small airport system, they're calling it, where the drone can just land itself, fill itself with spray or whatever it needs, recharge itself in 3.5 to 5 minutes, and then go off and fly. And there's literally no human intervention. So we might see that on our shores pretty soon.
It reminds me. Sorry, Sarah. I was just going to say it reminds me a little bit of the old robo lawnmowers. Same sort of thing.
Oh, in our street where I live, if you don't have a robo lawnmower, you're not cool. And they're all retired farmers that can afford them. But with regards to say your local firefighter service, or like there's a use there for a community to own it and people to be trained up in it for multiple uses, right? And you're in civil defence. Oh,
absolutely. I just, look, obviously they're expensive pieces of equipment. They're not cheap. Especially, there's the toys out there. We've all seen the toys, right? But there's certainly unlimited applications for civil defence usage. The mind just boggles, actually, because what we're really talking about here, and I know some of the helicopter operators are getting a little bit nervous about the capabilities of these drones using or being able to supplement what normally would be a helicopter's roll, Colin, right? Some of them are not overly happy.
Yeah, I mean, we I used to work for Garden City Helicopters, GCH Aviation, great company to work for, and they use drones in a supplementary role, and that's where I see them. You know, we're never going to have, or we're at least going to be a very long way away from having the capabilities that helicopters have in terms of endurance and lifting capability. I think there's always going to be a place for them, but you know, aerial photography is more so all done by drone now, and the lifting is probably next on the table, I'd say.
Andy, with regards to completely transforming filming, I used to hang out the side of a helicopter, strapped in, of course, with the door off, holding a camera with a gimbal, and I wouldn't even think about doing that this day and age, obviously.
That's way more fun though, right?
It's really fun. Your hair, like you don't have any hair compared to me, Colin, and my hair looked like a bird's nest when it came back in. But yeah, lots of good fun. You trusted the pilot a lot, that's for sure.
All right. Yeah, hey Colin, fantastic to have you on the show today. Really appreciate it. I know there's some great footage. We're going to try and get some of that and maybe put it up as well. But hey mate, a great usage. Thanks for your time. We'll chat again.
No worries. Thanks for reaching out. Have a good day.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Colin
hey
H.
Sarah. Yeah, Colin H. in the a fascinating role here for this. Hey, look, we're coming to the end of our first episode of CountryWide Connect on Sky TV today, Face TV, channel 83. Really appreciate everyone that's been. It's a busy old show. A lot of tech on the show today, Sarah.
You kept up well, actually, for someone of your size. But Brendan Telfer, you know, he vouched for you that you've been quite ahead of your time tech-wise, you know, throughout your career, Andy.
Well, I don't like to brag, Sarah, you know me, okay. Very humble. Hey, look, just on tomorrow's show, really interested to see this. Hopefully, we're going to get some RMA chat. No, it's not so much tech tomorrow. Apparently, the select committee from the RMA reform is maybe coming back this afternoon. So we're going to try and get Grant McCullum on the show. He is the deputy chair of the Environment Select Committee, to try and figure out exactly what is happening there. So that's one thing we're looking at tomorrow. So big news.
And of course, we have our weather with Tony T from Blue Sky Weather, and we'll be also talking composting dairy barns here on CountryWide Connect.
CountryWide Connect, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. Your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lack.